Hey, what's going on, folks? Leggy RPG here, and by request from a couple of viewers, I'm gonna do some like kind of quick topic tutorial videos. Try to keep it under 5 minutes, but hit on some topics that folks have some confusion on, including myself when I was just starting, and if I'm being honest, even some days now as well. So crack a beer or whatever your beverage of choice is, and let's take a look at understanding Stoneshard economics. I'm going to hit some of the high points and disclaimer that I'm not an expert. So if anybody has any information that adds to this or corrects something that I may misspeak, hit us up in comments, DMs on Twitch or Discord or something like that. So if you're like me, you have run into this merchant menu and then the hover over screen here that is a little intimidating to look at to start. So let's do a quick rundown, right? If we're talking about commodities and stuff like that, like I get heavily into the commodities because it does help, especially early game, with bolstering some of your kind of financial situation, right? A few extra bucks can really help with that gear purchase or upgrading your caravan, since Varen seems to always want 1,000 gold every friggin' day, right? So we're gonna run down this menu. I mean, obviously, you've got the old adage of buy low, sell high, right? So if you're looking to buy commodities, you want to buy them in the area where they're produced. So beer from Crom at the brewery in Osbrook, grain from the mill in Osbrook, etc. Right? Now, you need to be careful for other factors that could influence things as far as prices go. And that's going to be factored into this kind of menu here. But we'll take a look at some of the factors that might affect it after we kind of go up and down this menu here. So you've got three main areas here, and some of these merchants are more complex and some of them are less complex. But prices fluctuation, okay? You've got trade favorability. Right now, that's a 5% in our favor. So obviously green is good for us, red is bad for us, okay? Now, this is all from the perspective of the merchant. So right now, because of our reputation in Bryn, we have a 5% trade favorability. That means when we buy things, we buy them for 5% lower price. When we sell things, we sell them for 5% higher, right? So that's pretty sweet. It's a nice little swing. Supply is from the merchant's perspective. So the first subtopic under there is markup, right? This is how much an item is marked up above its base value, just sort of as baked into the process, okay? So right now, this guy, Zedenabrad, cool name by the way, he marks up all of his items times 1.3 of its normal value. Now below that is additional factors for specific items. So for instance, demand for armor is higher than usual, okay? So that's not in our favor. What it means is that he is selling armor for 5% more on top of that, okay? So that would basically be 1.35 for armor. Now conversely, food is lesser in demand, so he would be selling that for let's see if my math works, 1.26, okay? Because it's lesser in demand. So obviously, green good, red bad. So if nothing else, you can look at that and be like, okay, it's doing a little bit better. Now, the factors below, demand, that shows what he wants to buy, okay? So overall demand is up 5%. So you've got the 5% of overall demand, you've got the trade favorability of 5%, so that's 10% in your favor for the items that he's looking to purchase. Now, almost anybody will purchase valuables because it's gold, it's diamonds, whatever, right? And I'm just going to switch over to the next menu right here, or the next hover over tooltip. And this specific trader, it tells what he's interested in. So he likes jewelry, valuables, sacks of grain, barrels of beer, etc. So those are the things he'll buy. You could right click and sell those items to him. Okay. Tells you what the equipment tier is that he can sell. Right now it's between 2 and 5. And it also says when he's going to restock. So he'll restock in less than a day. Typically that's often at 10 a.m. All right. And then back over to this side. So now we can look at, we've got the factors. If you're running down, we've got a 5% trade favorability. We've got a 5% overall demand. And then you look at the other items, especially the commodities, and you can see what is he buying at like a real premium, right? He's buying, he wants sacks of grain. They're up 18%, and he's going to give you a 1.3 modifier. So that's basically what your markup is to sell to him. So you've got the 1.3, you've got the trade favorability of 5%, and you've got the overall demand of 5%. So if you're looking at adding percentages up, you add up that 18% plus the 5%. So we got 23% and then 28%, okay, for sacks of grain. And what that translates to is you get a pretty damn good price for a sack of grain. So we're going to sell this to him. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't have enough money to buy another one, so hey, tough luck, buddy. But you can see where you'll be able to compare between various merchants to see who's going to get you the best prices. And each of the foreign dock merchants will give you some of the best prices on valuables, basically right up there with the jeweler. And they will typically give the best prices for a lot of commodities. You just need to see which ones they're interested in because each of the foreign dock merchants is different. Now, I always compare these with a merchant in Bryn. So, for instance, sacks of grain, they'll sell to this guy for 1.3, which is really good. Now, you also want to probably check both the golden grain and the bakery. Typically, the golden grain has enough money to buy maybe a couple of them at a certain price. The best price you'll usually get either from this guy or the bakery, but the bakery usually can only buy one sack of grain. They don't have enough cash on hand. So that's kind of your basics as far as what these things look like. Now, just to quickly touch on other things that can affect it, if you look at the town that you're in, so when you're purchasing goods, right? So Denbury here in this example sells salt, okay? Commodity salt. So unfortunately, it's got pestilence and supplies shortage, right? So what that means is like you don't want to be buying salt right now because that trade favorability is negative 15%, okay? So if you have the reputation up to where you've got a base 5% trade favorability, that's 5% in your favor, but unfortunately because of the supplies shortage, they're at a trade favorability of negative 15%. And that's going to show up here if you're in Denbury, up at that top part. It'll show your 5%, and then below it or just above it, it'll show the 15% in red, okay? So right now, not a good time to buy salt in Denbury. However, good time to sell commodities if you have someone there that wants to buy them. Because you see down the bottom that commodities buying prices is plus 30%. So even though that trade favorability is down 15, you basically have a 15% swing there, and then you add in your own trade favorability of 5%, and you can sell certain commodities there really well. Now, Denbury is not a very good place typically to sell commodities because it's a small town. You've only got the junk dealer and so forth. So most times I'm not going to bother with that. Now, if you look at Bryn, okay, first of all, it's the big city, so there's a lot of money. There's a lot to be had there for trade and stuff. Doesn't have any negative conditions, or we would have seen them on the merchants hover over as well. And we also have favorable prices because we have respect with Bryn. Or, well, we have respect. You'll get this earlier than 5%. Okay? So, typically, you're going to be making that flow of from wherever you're purchasing it, say the brewery, and then if you want a quick sell, you could bring it, you could just walk it over to Osbrook and probably sell it, assuming that it doesn't have any negative modifiers, to the inn, right? Or you could sell timber that you can get at the Oaken Glade, at the Carpenter in Osbrook, and you can make some money. But generally, you're going to be making the most profit by bringing those goods from the hinterlands into Bryn to sell them. And we'll cover a tour of Bryn and like what place is where and what commodities are typically going to give you the best prices in our next video, which will be a tour of Bryn. Thanks. If you have any questions, hit me up and let me know. I appreciate it.